Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Aren't you guys excited? We are officially in October. That means Halloween is literally right around the corner. Unfortunately, that also means that Halloween is almost over and so are the Halloween designs. But I do love Christmas. What do you guys love more? I love Christmas and Thanksgiving more than I love Halloween, and I'm more excited for my Christmas designs, but I think we can be more creative with Halloween designs. So I don't know, what are your guys' favorites? Do you guys prefer Halloween nail designs, or do you love all the Christmas fun, glitter, green and red type of nail designs? So let me know. But with that being said, we are going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. Right here, I am applying, of course, Valentino's Cover acrylic. I'll have the specific acrylic that I'm using linked down below. But I'm just going to do a tapered square look with my nail forms. And then this nail is going to get the cute little Grim Reaper put on it later. Now, for the nail design, I believe the Grim Reaper is the hardest part of the design. Everything else is just squiggly lines for the trees or lines for a spider web and a little cute haunted house. And once you see how I do it, you'll see like, oh, it's like putting pieces of a puzzle together. It's really not that hard, just maybe takes a little bit of time if it's your first time doing it. But in and of itself, I promise the Grim Reaper is the hardest thing about this nail design. One thing I do want to say before I totally shut up and let you guys watch the rest of my acrylic application is that I will be sharing later on some of the things that I would have done differently when it comes to this nail design. Because at the end of the day, I have no problem being completely honest about my designs. Like, just because I created it doesn't mean they're amazing. Like, we have eyes, we can see. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, this was so cool, you guys need to, girl, who are you trying to fool? You know, there are certain things when I create my designs that I should and should not have done. And I have no problem sharing that with you guys, because the whole point of creating content like this is so that we can learn and we can get better at our own nail designs. You get what I'm saying? So I have no problem being totally honest with you guys and sharing as many tips and tricks about what you should and shouldn't be doing and learning from my mistakes. So I'll be quiet now and let you guys finish watching my acrylic application. Really quick, I just want to mention this because I am so excited to show you guys next week's design. It is a Coraline nail design. I have been wanting to do a Coraline nail design for years, but like I mentioned with my first design for this season, I finally joined the Halloween club. I am finally doing Halloween nail art, and I just never did it before. I felt like my nail art just wasn't there yet to post the type of art that I was doing. And now I feel like I'm a little bit better and I can actually start showing you guys some of my Halloween designs. And so I cannot wait to show you this Coraline one, because like I said, this has been a goal of mine for years. So please be on the lookout for that nail design next week. Now we can get into the shaping. Of course, I am going to start with my e-file. I always go underneath my sidewalls and try to shape them as much as possible. That way I'm not spending so much time using my hand file. And this time for this video, I did want to show a little bit more of my filing process. So I do show you as much as possible without cutting out the frames, because I don't think I've ever really shown my filing process with my hand file or my e-file. The only thing that I don't include in this step for the video itself is that at the very end, after using my hand file, I like to take a sanding band and go over my acrylic nails just to smooth out, like I use it as a buffer to remove any of the harsh lines from the hand file, if that makes sense. So that's the only thing that I don't include in this video. Otherwise, this is pretty much the entire process of me shaping my nails. Here I am using my Tammy Taylor peel and stick files. I have talked about these quite a few times, but that's just because I genuinely liked them, because they've actually helped me out so much. I used to use the Amazon ones where you can get like 100 for 10 bucks. And the problem I had with those is that because they're so flimsy, for lack of better word, whenever I would file my sidewalls, I noticed that they were curved instead of straight. My free edges were also curved instead of straight, and my sidewalls had like, not my sidewalls, underneath my sidewalls where you saw me using my e-file for that, I used to use my hand file, and that was never straight. Never. That was such a big problem for me. And so once I started using these, I immediately noticed a difference. And maybe that's just because I knew the technique, I knew what I was supposed to be doing, but I just couldn't achieve it. And it was all because of the hand file I was using. Like, I am a testament to the products you use really do make or break the final look. Because if you use cheap products, more than likely it's going to affect the design or the shape of whatever it is you're doing. So investing in good products, I know that some things are really, really expensive, and you got to work with what you got sometimes. But if you can take that extra step when you're ready to invest in better quality products, absolutely do that, because I noticed that the problem I was having was I had the techniques, I knew what I was supposed to be doing, but I just couldn't achieve it. And it was, like I said, all because of the products. So if you're like me struggling with shaping, definitely try these out, and I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna love these. After I finish using my hand file, I do go in, remember, and use my sanding band to achieve this look. So now we can start the nail art. The first thing I did was take white gel polish and paint all 5 nails white. I did do 2 coats of white. No, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I did 1 coat of white on each nail. The reason I only did 1 coat versus I usually do 2 is because they're going to get airbrushed over, and I only needed the white to bring out the color that I was going to use on top. So it was going to be a ombre with purple at the top and green at the bottom, and I wanted the colors to stand out as much as possible, and the easiest way to achieve that is by using white underneath, or you could use a cream color underneath, but I just always use white. It's just a force of habit. So before I do my airbrush, I always use these nail stickers by Macart if I'm going to airbrush near my cuticles, because it really does protect your skin from the amount of gel polish that could potentially be all over your skin. And don't get me wrong, it's not foolproof, right? Like, it's not 100% gonna protect your skin. You will get some gel polish on the cuticle area, and I believe I do show you that once I remove the green sticker. But in comparison to what could be all over your skin, these are great, especially if this is something that you do all the time using an airbrush. I definitely recommend investing in something like this. That way you are protecting your skin as much as possible, because you don't want to get any allergies from the products. Now, one thing I will say about these nail stickers is that they are not very sticky. I personally wish that they were a little stickier, because if you notice, they are lifting around my nail a little bit, and I know why they make them that way. It's simply because if you have an adhesive allergy, you obviously couldn't use something like this. But with them not being so sticky this way, anybody can use them. So I totally get it, but it's just my personal preference. Again, I wish they were a little stickier. Now here I am removing the nail sticker. Very little products around my cuticle. Every once in a while, some does slip through the sides right here where you see me cleaning it up. But overall, they do exactly what they're designed to do. So other than them not being as sticky as I would like, I have 0 complaints. So as you can see, this green is like green. You know what I mean? It's like a lime green. These are perfect Beetlejuice colors, and I should have left the green this way. This is the part where I mentioned at the beginning of the video where I'm just gonna tell you I shouldn't have had done this. What I was trying to do was give it like a smoky green vibe around all of the edges. That didn't work out. I don't know what happened. I wish I could tell you guys what went wrong. You can clearly see by my hand movements, I am confused. So what I did was I took a different matte top coat. This one is by Not Polish. It usually works for me. I don't know, today it didn't. Now you can see I'm kind of starting to get those smoky black edges, but I wanted more. I wanted dramatic, and I would have had to keep going and basically do another layer of matte top coat and then do another layer of black acrylic powder. But I didn't do that. And the reason I didn't do that was because I realized that most of what I'm trying to make quote unquote smoky black is gonna get covered anyways. So I just left it at that. I left it with the one coat of black acrylic powder, and I just started with my Grim Reaper design. So to create my little spooky and sweet Grim Reaper, I start off by doing two like football shapes for his head, and then I give him a little Smurf little hat at the top. That's what it reminded me of. And then I just do two little round shapes by the shoulders to finish off like his outline. Then I go in and add red right at the bottom. Over this red, well, not over, but on top, above the red. That's the best way to say it. Above the red is going to be his face, of course, which is going to be the white skull. So when doing this red part right here, I wanted to keep it as thin as possible. The next thing I did was start shading in his cape with gray. Now, of course, I know his cape is black, but I wanted to add in some shading details, and I obviously can't really shade if his cape is black. So I decided to make it gray. And what I did was start tracing over some of the lines that I had already made, like the shoulders and where his arm would be. And then I take an ombre brush and gently start, it's a tapping and dragging motion at the same time. If you do makeup, that's the best thing I can compare it to, is it's a tap and a drag at the same time. And then I do this a couple of times. So I start off with a nice little coat, and then I feel like I need more, so I'll just add another black line like you see me doing right here, and I'll take the ombre brush and drag it down again. And you just simply do that as many times as you feel necessary. I will mention, when using an ombre brush, one thing I always struggled with was like, it's getting clumpy, it's building up with product, or how do I even just keep it clean? So what I do with an ombre brush is I will dip the brush, not the entire brush, just like the very flimsy part at the end. I dip that part in nail polish remover, and then I will drag, like I'll drag it along a napkin, and also with my finger push down on top of it to really squeeze out all of the nail polish remover that would be in the bristles. And then I go back in and keep tapping and dragging, and I continue that process as many times as necessary. Now I can go in and start outlining everything in black to really define all of the shapes that are going on. I do also go back and shade him in just to make my Grim Reaper a little bit darker. And I do add some white lines as well, just to highlight certain areas. Now that my Grim Reaper is pretty much finished, I decided to put a tree behind him. Now there are so many ways you can do a spooky, creepy Halloween tree. I mean, if you go on Pinterest, they have them by the buttload, right? But the simplest way to do it is just take a liner brush. Sorry, I'm blanking out. Just take a liner brush and do like zigzag lines. You don't want the lines to be smooth, right? Because when you think of a spooky tree, the branches aren't smooth. There's like rough right edges, right? 90-degree angles. So that's pretty much what I do. And then the second thing that I do and try to focus on is I want the ends of the branches to be thinner, and the base where the trunk would be of the branch, I want that to be the thickest part of the tree. Of course, right, because the trunk is always thicker, but it just gives it a more realistic look. And you want to go back and forth and alternate. Okay, this branch is thin, this branch will be a little bit thicker, and give it a little bit more of a variety. The next thing I did was start my middle finger, which has the cute little haunted house. Again, there are so many ways you can do a little haunted house, but it all depends on how big the nail is, how wide the nail is, how much detail you want to put into the little house. I mean, so many cute little designs on Pinterest, like I said. But essentially all you're doing is connecting little pieces to a puzzle. So notice how the lines of the house are not perfectly straight. I mean, they're straight, but some are curved, some lean a little to the left, others to the other side, and that's what makes the cute little haunted house so fun. Like this one right here, I made this triangle lean off to the left a little bit by making one baseline longer than the other. And again, that's what makes the haunted house so fun. So what you could do is just practice on a sheet of paper before you put it on your nail, just to make sure that you like how all of the shapes are mix matched. Then I went in and started adding these little yellow smudges where the light of the window is supposed to be. And then I went ahead and started filling that in with more black. So I went and like, this is going to be the triangle, so I created a triangle over the yellow first and then just started filling the rest in with black, and I continue going all the way down the house. After I finished my haunted house, the next thing I did was just add a bunch of spider webs everywhere on all of my nails, literally wherever I could find a spot. And then the other thing I did as well was I added some bats to whatever spot I could find. I wanted to make them bigger, but I felt like I didn't have enough space to add as much detail to the bat as I wanted. So instead, I just did two little swoops for the bat design. Now we can move on to the pinky. So I started off by doing a line for like a hill, and then I started doing the spooky little tree in the background, and I added some graves afterwards. no, they're not called graves. What? Tombstones. Tombstones. Ugh, you guys, I'm still kind of like mind foggy from last week. So you'd be surprised how many times I've had to re-record this because my brain is just right now. I was sick last week because it's that time where all the kids are in school, and so when they come home with germs, and now everybody's getting sick, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better, but I'm not 100%. So my brain is just not working right now. Next, I moved on to the thumb and added a black circle, and this black circle is going to be a cute little cat with big white eyes. So I do the circle, and then I go ahead in with a dotting tool, and I take some white and I make two big white oval circles for the eyes, and then inside the white circle I add black dots for the pupil. The very last thing I did was add some spider gems. Now, when you're gonna use big gems that don't have a flat back, you want to use something like this. What I'm using here is Macquart's solid nail glue, but every brand has like their thing. You just want to make sure that it's something that you can do for like a sculpting gel or like 3D nail art type stuff where it's moldable. And you take some of that, and then you take your gem, whatever gem you're going to use. For me, it was the spider. And then you go ahead and make it into a ball and put the gem right on top. And that'll definitely hold it in place. After that, I top coated everything, and this was the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for next week because I'm finally going to be doing a Coraline Halloween nail design.